I think part of what it is too is just like, especially with crypto, like we're all here looking at this stuff. I've said this before, covering it every single day, talking about it every single day. We do this show once a week and then release clips over the course of the week. But there's so many people out there covering, tweeting, doing all these things about this market all the time. And as we know, there are big time drawbacks, or not drawbacks, but
Pullback,
downs in the
pullbacks,
market,
yeah.
dips, whatever you want to say, that are not as fun to report on, and people get really emotional because the charts are, they go a lot of different directions very quickly. So, the one good thing is, to keep looking at the calendar and remember, like we're in 2024 now. We're entering the second quarter of it. We're nearing the Bitcoin halving. We're starting to maybe see that pullback going into the halving. So I guess we'll just go there now. When I wrote the notes just the other day, BTC was still hanging around 70K, but we've really seen it pull back here today, sitting at about 65.5K. ETH has now gone back below 3,300. And we're going to talk a little about ETH tonight because a lot of people on Twitter and stuff like that lately, I think basically Ethereum and most of the altcoin space, minus a handful of crazy meme coins, apparently, have just been kind of taking a beating in comparison to Bitcoin so far. Because, we've said this before. I mean, nobody expected Bitcoin to already hit a new all-time high pre-halving and, shouting of the left translated cycle idea and things like that. But the ETH ratio just hasn't closed in enough yet. And it's got people literally, I don't even know how this is real, but literally people calling for the death of Ethereum. And, the Bitcoin finally proves king. I mean, we know that that's utter insanity, but
Yeah.
it is happening nonetheless. And ETH, has been a little bit of a laggard compared to Bitcoin here. But we talked about this before too. Ethereum was also super strong in the bear market. As we headed into the bear market, man, I can't believe it was this far back, but I think September of 2021 is when they started making some of the upgrades. Well, I don't even remember what that one was at this point. Sharding, farting, harding. I don't know what it was. Something happened that month. Or maybe it was the move to proof of stake. I don't remember what it was. But we saw it hold up really well. So now we're seeing ETH not do as well. So overall, what do you kind of make of this pullback we're seeing here? And maybe, again, more importantly for us, Ethereum and most of the market really at this point, Ethereum catching up to Bitcoin, can and will that happen soon?
Yeah, I think so. You mentioned it yourself. It's been strong, so it really never got the major pullback. I think. What did it get down to? 800 or 900 on
Yeah,
Ethereum.
like
So
850.
I
Yeah.
mean, it stayed extremely strong. Many people predicted it to come down to 400 or 500,
Mhm.
and it just never got there. It did, half of that or twice that anyway was the low. So because of all the upgrades, because of the proof of stake, and that's what it was. I think when what you're
Yeah.
talking about was the move to Ethereum 2 when it actually launched, it stayed really strong. And now, you know, because Bitcoin is pulling back and because they're so tied together, um, that's what we're seeing. It's just a lull in the markets before the halving happens, like it does every single cycle. People kind of pull back, they wait because they know or have been here before. So there's just not a whole lot of action. There's a lot of talk, about the ETF as well. There's a lot of bullish things to come, but when things are down, usually we say that's the time to buy, and it really technically should be. We're catching some of these dips. Now is the time if you haven't yet. Obviously, we've been preaching it for months and months on end is to buy some of these prices, but if you haven't started DCA on some of these red candles, I mean, this is probably as good as it's going to get for a while. Um, you know,
Mhm.
Probably another couple weeks, and happens. Once that happens, it usually takes off. Things start to run. We see the Bitcoin and Ethereum prices go up, and then after a while, a lot of that value gets drawn out of that and then into your altcoins, and that's what we actually call the altcoin season. And some of these had a pre-run up and things like that, but the majority of the markets will follow suit with Bitcoin as it runs up. Ethereum will too. You'll even see Litecoin and Doge and all these other ones start to creep up as well, because the rising tide lifts all boats. So
Mhm.
happen. It's part of the cycle. It's in that. I think we're in the, what is it? Um, I forget what part of the cycle, the name of the cycle, you know.
Um,
But
I
I
guess
think
it
we're in that bottom level area is what I was getting at.
Yeah, I guess it depends on maybe which asset you're looking at, because I mean, that's kind of a sentiment thing, and I think it's different with the different, like, if you would look at the Wall Street cheat sheet for Bitcoin right now versus ETH or Pulse Chain, I think you're getting different sentiments probably. I don't think the Bitcoin sentiment compared to like the Pulse Chain sentiment would be exactly the same thing right now. But yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. It's definitely at the lower point at the moment.
Yeah, I think
So
we're in the depression phase is
yeah, I do
what
too.
it really is. We've already passed the anger. Now people are just depressed, and again, once the halving happens, things will start to look up and we'll be in better shape.